happy Friday. This is MMA On Air right here on DallasOnAir.com. I am Charlie Vann. Always joining me, my engineer, my producer, Austin Harris. Austin, how are you doing tonight?
Charlie, what's up, man? I'm glad to be here in the studio with you once again. MMA On Air. Here we go.
We are back, and we are excited because 1 week from tonight is LFA 33 right here in Dallas at the Bomb Factory. And we have a special guest join us right now via phone. He is one half of that main event next Friday night. Please welcome Jaleel Willis. Jaleel, you there, man?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Oh, definitely. We were definitely excited when you said you were able to call in because we are so pumped for this LFA 33 card. And, you know, it's only been almost about a year now since LFA's been around. And they put on nothing but stat cards, and you get to be part of one. Just talk about getting to be a chance to fight for LFA and being part of this main event next Friday night.
Man, honestly, it's everything I've always wanted. I've always been a competitor, man. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to end up with competing, but, you know, I'm happy that what I've done got me this far, and I plan to take it even farther, man. I'm working hard and feeling good and stuff, man, and coming on just strong and, you know, just strong positive vibes from my family and everybody else. And me being able to headline this LFA card, it's just like, you know, just to top it all off, just make it that much better. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all still. I mean, my bad, bro.
No, that's okay. I mean? That's okay.
Yeah. You know, man, I don't really like do too much talking or thinking about it, man. I just, you know, stay in my zone, know what's up, man. And when I get there, it's going to be time to perform. And I appreciate LFA for giving me a stage and, you know, giving me a multi-fight deal and just welcome me in with open arms, man. And I've always wanted to, you know, just be with the top competitors, man, and be able to let people know that, you know, I am a top competitor, one of the best in the world. And just because I'm from Memphis, and, you know, I mean, people out here won't really get to show it, but, you know, you put somebody from Memphis in that situation, we show up and we show out, man.
Well, you know, being a week away, what is your normal preparation like? Or do you like to ease up a little bit going a week out from the fight? What's your kind of approach once you're close to actual fight week?
Oh, man, no, I'm still going hard because, you know, I don't really have to dehydrate myself or nothing to make weight, you know, so I'm still feeling good like as if I'm in the third week of training camp, you know, come the beginning of the weekend. Man, I don't really draw back on nothing, bro. If I'm up here and I'm able to keep working, that's what I'm going to do, man. That's how I was built.
Now, you mentioned about the weight. We like to talk, we've talked quite a bit about weight cutting here on this show. I know you have a wrestling background, correct?
Yes, sir.
You're
yes,
a two-time state champion, correct?
No, not correct, man. I ain't going to get on here a lot of y'all, man. I got, you know, I mean, as much as I would love to do that, but no, man, I'm just, I got 6 and 4 at both style, and, you know, I mean, I won freestyle and Greco state, but, I mean, you know, I mean, those, it wasn't folk style, man. Folk style pretty stacked out here.
Sorry for the state placement, but I know you have that strong wrestling background. So I just want to get your thoughts on the whole weight cutting process, how you approach it, how you see it might be, you know, done wrong. We've been seeing that issue for a while now in the sport, how some people have had really bad weight cuts.
Yeah, man. I really don't like to cut dramatically, man. Like, I think that's stupid. I would really like to see the 1FC, you know, type deal with the hydration test.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's like one of the greatest things that's going on right now. And that was my main thing. If we could get hydration tests going, I think we'll have a lot more fighters fighting at their normal weight and a lot more exciting fights too, man. Cause I remember when we used to wrestle and shit, like, you have people, you know, who, you know what I mean, who was kind of smaller running the weight class just because, you know, you got guys depleting themselves coming down, you know, from weights and stuff in the same day weigh-ins, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, it's brutal. And I came from a wrestling background as well, and I used to see guys just starve themselves during lunchtime, and I'm like, I mean, this is not good. And, you know, and it's been coming, you know, a big problem. But, I think too, looking at it, staying a little bit close, staying ready is another thing. But going back to your fight, it's a huge fight. Kyle Stewart, I know he's had a little bit of spotlight over the last year because he was on Dana White's Contender Series. What do you think of him as a matchup, and what excites you the most about this fight with him?
I mean, the thing that excites me about him is the fact that he's a go-getter and the fact that he's, very confident and he believes in his skill a lot. So I know that's going to make for a hell of a fight, man. And that's all I ever ask for this period, man. I don't want to fight no cans, no chumps, man. I want to come out, make sure I'm putting everything I got into this, and I want the person who I'm fighting to be doing the same. That way, when I beat him, I can legitimately have my hands up in the air going, yes, man, I'm one of the best in the fucking world, Like, this is what I said. This is what I know, So it's all just what I'm willing to go through and having to go through to prove and just slate when I'm trying to be. My main goal is to be number one in the world. And he right there, and he one of the best fighters I've ever had fighting. It's not gonna make a difference because, like, I'm coming here to fight. I'm coming here to prove that I'm gonna be number one in the world, man. Like, however y'all want to look at it, man. It's like, boy, I said, man, 10, 15 years from now, I'm gonna look back at this fight and fucking be like, hell yeah, I knew what was up, and that's how it's gonna go down come next week.
You're also undefeated. Do you think, with this win, they're going to line you up automatically with an LFA title shot? Or I know you said you signed a multi-fight deal, but, a lot of people see the LFA as definitely a direct path into the UFC. Do you think you'll get a title shot? Do you think maybe you automatically will get that call?
Man, to be honest, I know one of the two will happen. With a win over Kyle, one of the two are freaking happen, and man, I'm welcoming either one, man. I would love to fight for that title, man. I would love to fight in the UFC, man. Even if they turned around and told me, it was like, we want you to headline another card, but it's gonna be, against this super stud, like, it's going down. That's what I want,
And that's the thing about, too, looking at LFA. I mean, it's grown so much, but, I mean, it has had such a high level promotion and spotlight, and a lot of guys have, gone on to the UFC. But even their cards alone have put on UFC caliber type fights, and you still have a lot of the world's best on there. So that's definitely got to excite you a lot. And also getting to be right under there of Ed Soares, who, of course, everyone knows he's the longtime Anderson Silva manager, and he's done such great things in the sport.
Yeah, man. It's like, I watch LFA a lot, and I believe, like, those guys are top in the world. And, I see they put on UFC caliber fights, man. And I mean, I don't really know what much else to say about it, except I'm ready to be there doing the same, if not more.
Now, do you like to make predictions for your fights, like how you're going to finish a fight, or you just like to go in there, let it happen?
Man, no, I never really like making predictions, because every time I try to make predictions, I end up just saying it's going to be a clinic or some shit. Like, man, it's a fight, bro, and I'm going in there to fight, man. That's what I'm here for, bro. Like, that's why I'm undefeated right now. That's why I'm this far, because I'm here to fight. I ain't afraid of them. I ain't gonna back down from now, man. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. He's about to get these hands, about to get these feet, knees, whatever it is that he want to get, and whatever it is I'm trying to give to him. Like, and it's going to be a fight, man. Like, that's a prediction I can tell you, man. It's going to be a fucking fight.
And see, this has got to be really energized for the fans, because, I mean, your nickname is The Realist. His nickname is Guns Up. I mean, this looks like it's already a recipe for a big battle. Is that what you're expecting? Definitely a big battle?
Yeah, man. I'm expecting a fight. Right? I'm expecting him to come out and try to inflict his will and the shit that he do well. And, like, just to let them know, like, dude, this ain't what you want, bro. Like, it's a fucking fight. We here to fight. Guns up, The Realist. We gonna see which one, going down, man. We're gonna see who coming out on top. And man, honestly, bro, it's like I really don't even care like what this man coming with, bro. He getting fucked up, like just point blank.
Well, also on that card along with you, and what's your thoughts on the LFA debut of Greg Hardy? I believe now he's 2-0 in the sport of mixed martial arts. What do you think about him being in this sport and being on this card next Friday night?
Oh man, dude, I actually seen him train. He's training like a madman. Dude, like when I was down there at ATT, you know, I mean, I got a chance to just like peep him out and see everything he was doing, man. He was in every session I was there. He was either wrapping up a session, doing a session, or you know, getting ready for another session, man. I'm excited to see it. I was pretty pumped when I found out that me and him was gonna be on the same card, you know, and I just was zoned in paying attention to him, man. And it's gonna be fireworks. That man, I really think the world's gonna be excited when they see him come out. And I can make a prediction on his fight. I can predict that fight to be a KO. 'Cause I see the way that man comes with his punches.
Do you think he's got a long possible career in this sport? I mean, he's only about what 30, maybe 31 years old. Do you see a long career for him?
Yeah, man. It's like, dude, this man was like freaking huge, man, with like some of the best footwork I've ever seen on like any football player. And I don't know how much this man weighs or anything, but I know this man was fucking huge. And his footwork was like as if he was a fucking running back out there. Man. It was like man, that's an athlete. And whoever got him, it's gonna be tough, man, because you got a real athlete on your hands.
Well, in one thing we've seen a little bit of that crossover from NFL to MMA. Matt Metrione, Brendan Schaub, you know, both played, you know, in the NFL before they made a move to MMA. So it is interesting to see Greg Hardy in the mix, but you know, I definitely, like you said, you know, his athleticism and that power can make things real interesting. What got you into mixed martial arts? Do you remember that first fight that you saw and you were like, man, I want to try this. I want to give this a shot?
Well, yeah, man, I actually watched my coach now. Went to one of his fights, man, and it was by home. I went to one of his fights around here, and I saw it. I was like, man, you know, I would love to do this, but I'm not fit to volunteer to be a freaking, you know, MMA fighter. Like, you know, I'm like 17, 18 at the time, so I'm thinking I got to try to go to college and, you know what I mean, make some stuff happen, make a career happen. I can't be chasing, you know, MMA dream, kind of like being your local rapper around here, man. I was like, I can't be doing that. You got to go to college. I said, well, but the only way I'll do it is if everything fails, you know, like, that's the only way I do it. I would have to fail school and everything got failed. This would have to be my last resort, and that ended up happening. So that was my last resort. I was that, and then I actually got my first fight. I was at the Delta Fair. It was just our local county fair down here, and they had a guy that dropped out. And I was selling T-shirts at the time, and just, you know, just at the show, and they come up and ask me, hey, you know, you ever fought before? And told them no. They're like, you want to fight? I'm like, yep. And they got me a fight with the guy that was 11-5, and went out there and beat him. And just, man, felt like I actually was doing something right out of all the shit that I fucked up. This was the one thing I was actually doing right, you know. So I'm like, let's pursue this, man. Everything failed. I'm a man of my word, so let's keep it going. You know, let's go all in with this. And man, I got to say, I'm 110% happy with that decision, man, because I met a lot of great people along the way, got a different perspective of the world, my family. Man, I've actually got a family, and I think a lot of it is because of me jumping into MMA, because, you know, I just wasn't in that shell of trying to be angry and trying to blame the world for my fuck-ups, you know.
How much, and this might be an obvious answer, but how much do you think your wrestling background has contributed a lot to your success. And do you think wrestling is probably the strongest base out there for this sport?
Yeah, man. So I think my wrestling contributed a lot to me, just as far as like mental wise. Because the way I kind of came up, it was, it was not really nothing to look forward to but football, basketball, and you weren't doing either one of those two. You was just there trying to make a life, and wrestling really opened my eyes. I remember like when I first, got my first experience of wrestling, I got like third place, and I remember I got the best of both worlds. I got to feel what it's like to beat somebody, all while feeling what it's like, to lose to somebody too, and just having to, like deal with it and pick yourself up and go on to the next match at the age of like, like 12 and 11. It's like, man, I think it really helps build character, like everyone always says. And I mean, with wrestling, if it wasn't never been for wrestling, I would have never had the courage to take a fight or to jump in and do some of this stuff, like, just because, like, I just think I wouldn't even do it if I never wrestled.
How much is it just, having that tunnel vision? The thing with wrestling is there's no feeling like being in that circle one-on-one against another person, and it's just you, them, and the ref, and then the rest of the world. Like, how much has that prepared you to deal with the crowd? And of course, you've had quite some time in the cage since then, but do you think that atmosphere, that first audience that you drew in wrestling is what prepared you for even that first fight you had back at Delta Fair?
Yeah, most definitely, man, because I remember just even when I set foot in the cage and my opponent came walking out, a bunch of nerves went over me, and I was like super nervous. And once we actually got, face to face, I'm still, nervous. But once we back up and I see the referee get right there in the middle of us, like, that's when it kicked in. Like, all right, man, you know what's about to happen. You know what it's like to go off against somebody for, 6, minutes or so. Like, it's time to go. Fuck it. It's time to go. And that's how I dealt with that one, because I was one of those 50-50 wrestlers. Like, I was winning sometime, losing sometime, but I've always just knew, I was like, man, I need to be there competing. As long as I'm competing, I can walk away knowing that, like, hey, like, I'm proud of that. Here's what I did good. Here's what I did wrong, And just like, I get that tunnel vision when that referee right there, it's like, all right, it's go time, I know what I do well, and I know what I got to do. And I'm feeling, if I can go out here and do it, and it's going to be a bad time for this guy,
What is the going back to the Memphis area? What's the MMA scene like there now?
And it's growing. It's growing a lot. We have a lot of veterans around that, that's into coaching now and helping us come up. And a lot. I'm noticing a lot of the younger generation is starting to get into wrestling. A lot of guys really didn't wrestle much here in Memphis when I was coming up. But I'm like, even my old school is like a powerhouse wrestling school now. And I just think Memphis is just like slowly starting to evolve, with the MMA scene. More and more people starting to get introduced to it, like by word of mouth, or some guys come out, check out a couple of shows. And, we're getting a lot more younger, a lot of younger guys coming in. And some guys, they saying my story, and they like, well, I'm exactly like Jalil. I'm not going to college to wrestle after this, but I don't want to stop wrestling after this. And, so they make their way on over to the gym. And I really think Memphis is about to take off. And Ryan Stan definitely showed it, with winning that title.
Now, finally, just a kind of fun question outside because I'm a big fan of Memphis, and my brother-in-law is actually from the area there, and I always love trying different food spots there. What is your suggestion? What's your favorite spot to go to, especially barbecue? Because I think outside of, I mean, even though I'm Texas, there's Texas barbecue, Memphis barbecue. I do like some Memphis barbecue. I know about Corky's, but what's your suggested spot?
Mine, bro, I would suggest going down on Bill Street and mine catching BB Kings on Bill Street. Real good food, man. Real good barbecue. Or make my way over to Rendezvous on down. That's delicious. They actually got their own barbecue sauce that they sell down here in the stove. Like, for real. That's where it's at. So I would say you come, man, I would hit a Rendezvous or BB King's, man, or mine is one side that people always be hitting. Can't remember. I think it's Texas Day Brazil. I think that's what they call it. It's called Texas Day Brazil, and it's like for $50. They just bring you endless meat, just like come around cutting meat onto your plate, like bringing big steaks, big ribs, just. And mine for $50, I'm talking so much meat, bro. Like you'll see why a lot of people down here like put on 10, 15 pounds. You know what I mean?
It sounds so good. Like I'm visioning it, right now, especially BB King's and that and Rendezvous, because every time I go to Bill Street or that, I'm always looking for a new spot to go to. But I love Memphis barbecue. I had to mention that because I think it's great. I mean, we do have good barbecue here in Texas, but there's something about that sauce and with Memphis barbecue and good potato salad too. You got to have some good potato salad.
Yes, but you want to know a trip though, bro? Like a lot of people from Memphis don't even mess with the Memphis barbecue.
Really?
Like that because we see it so much around here, man. It's like when people ask us about barbecue, it's like, I guess this place is good. That's why I hear all the tourists talk about like, but it's like, man, honestly down here, like Memphis, we always on the hot wings and the Chinese food, the Chinese rice and stuff. Like everybody really getting into just it's a hot wing joint opening up some everywhere now. Like I think I'm gonna open up a hot wing joint right up this month.
There's literally wings places everywhere now. I mean, even here in Texas and especially in Dallas, there's a wings place, commercially and hole in the wall on every corner. And real quick, do you have a favorite like post victory meal that you like to go to?
Mine, my favorite. I always end up resorting back to a pizza. Always. Yeah. Just like one of the first things, like just right after a fight, I'm like, all right, whatever's going on tonight, but that next morning, I always somehow find a way to get pizza and beer.
Well, that's a good combo.
Yeah, pizza and beer, and if I'm really throwing down, pizza, beer, and fried chicken. Like,
wow.
Yeah,
now that's a feast right there. Well, you're going to be in the Deep Ellum area here, so you're next to quite a few pizza joints. Serious Pizza, Kanye Russo's, right? There's another one called Stone Brick, and they all have pizza and beer, so you're right there.
Oh yeah, man. So we know we're going after the fights.
And they have one of these Serious Pizzas. It has these gigantic slices, and their whole pizza, it takes up, I kid you not, half a table. So there's a little plug for Serious Pizza, but it's after a victory, you feel like you definitely deserve something like that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Well, Jalil, we want to thank you here on the show for calling in. Best of luck next Friday night. We look forward to seeing that main event.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on again, brother.
Well, you have a good Friday, good weekend, and we'll see you next week.
All right, then, y'all be safe.
Take care.
All right, bye.
That is Jalil Willis, one half of the LFA 33 main event next Friday night, live at the Bomb Factory. You can also catch it live on Access TV. We're going to take a break here. Then when we get back, we got to talk UFC 221, also UFC Austin as well. And it looks like Valentina Shevchenko might have just gotten herself a number 1 contender spot for a UFC women's flyweight title. We are back, MMA On Air, right here on DallasOnAir.com. Once again, we want to thank Jaleel Willis for calling in. Man, can't wait for that main event fight, LFA 33, man. Him versus
Should be
Kyle.
awesome.
Should be awesome. Also, we've had Ramez and Austin Lingo on the show. They're both on that card. And
That's right.
Alonzo Mitterfield. If you haven't seen this guy fight, the last time he fought for LFA was back in December. He literally launched a guy midair.
Man.
It was crazy.
Awesome.
So
awesome.
he's on the card as well. So it is going to be a fun night of fights next Friday at the Bomb Factory here in Dallas.
Yeah, should be a great card, man. Really looking forward to that.
But speaking of, we want to give a thanks always to our sponsor here on the show, Fight Fit Lifestyle. Go check out fightfitlifestyle.com if you need some new apparel, new gear. They have great MMA gloves, great shirts. As you can see tonight, I'm wearing one of the fitted Fight Fit Lifestyle shirts. They have rash guards, so for all you that love to do jiu-jitsu, grapple, they have long sleeve rash guard, short sleeve rash guard. They have board shorts. They have the tanks on there. So yeah, fightfitlifestyle.com. They do a great job all the time. So much to choose from on there. I was just scrolling down the other day and it's like, man, I need to get this shirt. I need to get these gloves. They have shin guards as well. So for all your gear and apparel needs, go to fightfitlifestyle.com. All right, so this past weekend, man, you know, if you missed the fight night that happened in Brazil.
Charlie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Can hear me?
Yeah,
okay,
I can hear you well.
I can't hear myself very well. Just making sure I'm on here.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you were good to go.
Okay, cool. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, not at all. So this past weekend in Brazil, it was Machida versus Eric Anders. I'm going to say this. You know, Machida did come out with a decision win. I figured that would happen if it was a close decision. You know, it is hometown or at least home country. But Eric Anders showed a lot of promise. He's still got some room to improve. Actually, he tweeted at Tyron Woodley after the fight, "Hey, I'm ready to work." I just put it out there, meaning he's willing to improve more and more. So the future is bright for Eric Anders. The question is for Lyoto Machida, and it was a back and forth, you know.
It was.
It wasn't like there was anybody in drastic trouble. Anders pushed a lot of pace. The thing with Machida, he's not done just yet. He called out Michael Bisping.
Yeah,
Friendly called
Mike
out.
Bisping.
That would make sense.
It would, and I think it might serve them both well to maybe potentially make that each of their retirement fights.
I think so.
They both have been in the game for so long, and both have made their mark. They are both former champions in their own weight class, light heavyweight for Machida and middleweight for Mr. Bisping, the Count. The those guys have done a lot for the sport already for years and years. And I mean, I don't know what else they can, do.
No,
at
I
this
mean,
point, besides entertain us with their fights, obviously. But
and to be real, to be honest, they know they're both not there for a title shot. They're kind of long in the line, probably more so Machida. But Bisping has already said, "I'm one more fight and I'm done." I think Machida's 40 or he's about to be 40. They're both close to there. They've had long careers, been a lot of battles, both been champ. I think it makes sense. I think it's an exciting style matchup. I don't see that one going to the ground. It could end early. If not, you can see definitely 5 rounds. I could see that last 4th or 5th round being really rememberable. I think it makes sense, but we'll see.
Sounds like a fun fight to me.
It makes sense.
Makes sense.
It makes
Could be a lot of fun. I mean, they're both on their way out, getting up there in age, like you mentioned. I mean, why not? They should just go out guns blazing.
Oh, I think so too. And also on that card, and I mentioned it, Valentina Shevchenko. And here's the thing: there's a lot of controversy in this fight because Valentina I forgot her name but her opponent was making her UFC debut. No easy debut going up against the former bantamweight contender. Valentina is one of the not only best female MMA fighters in the world, she's also one of the best strikers in the world out there.
Easily one of the best females right now.
Honestly, I say one of the best strikers, whether it's female or male. Just her style, her aggression, her pressure, but she's just such a tactician. She's so good at picking you apart. And that's what she did to her opponent. I mean, just literally, it was one-sided. It should have been stopped. I know Mario Yamasaki's had a lot of flack. Man. It really should have been stopped because this is where you want to see the towel thrown in. They don't literally throw in the towel, but they wave off. They
call off the bout for their fighter, their corner.
And the last time that happened was BJ Penn GSP 2. GSP was just laying on BJ Penn, and Jason Perillo, who was at the time BJ's boxing coach, just said he didn't throw in the towel, but he said to the ref, "No more in between rounds."
Didn't it also happen when Nate Diaz was getting pieced up by Josh Thompson?
No, he got caught with a head kick and then dropped with punches.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he got caught.
Maybe Nick may have thrown something in the ring, tried to have intervened somehow. But
he
it
might have been
the reason.
No. He got dropped. Mm-hmm. It was a quick head kick that just blindsided him. It's the only time Nate has been stopped. And going back to this fight, you just never want to see somebody take unnecessary punishment.
Never.
And I know they have a warrior spirit, and that's what Mario Yamasaki said was, I'm trying to let them be a warrior. But come on. You got to know that the fighter's not going to give up. That's the fighting spirit.
And that girl was on her butt on the ground, getting her ass handed to her, not defending her face.
It was bad. It's one thing, unlike Francis Ngannou Stipe, where, I mean, it wasn't like a thrashing, but obviously he was trapped in that.
Right.
But he was doing slightly enough to where you were like, okay. But this was there was no advancement at all. It was just a really bad position, unanswered blows after unanswered blows.
Just to follow up on that, the young lady's name was Priscila Cochiera.
Yeah.
From Brazil. And unfortunately, I think that she may have gotten some sort of knee injury.
She tore her ACL. So get this. So she tears her ACL. In between rounds, she tells her coach. Apparently, her coach pretty much tells her to forget about her or whatever, or stop being quiet. Which that's why everyone's like, get a new coach. And I agree. You're not looking out, obviously, the safety of your fighter. Her knee's gone. And then she's also on top of that taken, horrible, unanswered strikes from Valentina. So, she's just in a world of trouble. Eventually, in the second round, Valentina finished it via rear naked choke, but it should have been stopped sooner. It's just one of those, and we've seen it with Mario Yamasaki. He's been criticized over and over again for late stoppage.
A few times for stuff
quite a
this.
few. Of course, he had the June, stop the whole rear naked choke, but that's not as bad as unanswered blows
with
Chiesa and Kevin Lee.
Lee.
But see, that's a choke that where a guy didn't tap. We're talking about somebody just ground and pound. Unanswered.
She was handing this girl
it was
beating.
Bad. It was bad. It was pretty bad. And, you just don't want to see stuff like that. We try to, honestly, this sport for a long time had a bad stigma. And you want to kind of get away from that. It has that street fight because that's what it looked like. It looked like a street fight in that first round. But on to Valentina Shevchenko. There's no doubt about it. She deserves that flyweight title shot against Nico Montana, who hasn't fought since she won the title back in December against Roxanne Modafferi. But, I mean, Valentina definitely has earned that shot. And, man, she's such a dangerous competitor. Whether she's at 135 or 125, but, man, 125, she put the whole division on notice.
Easily, yeah. And that is an interesting title fight, and I can definitely see her being champion and being a reigning and defending champion.
Yeah. And maybe we are seeing Joanna Vase fight Rose again, but they have history. Joanna and Valentina, they fought in Muay Thai, and Valentina won. So, in the past they've talked about if Joanna would have beaten Rose the first time, could she go up to 125? Well, let's say hypothetically, if she's able to redeem herself, get that belt. I mean, honestly, outside of Rose, I mean, there's no one else for Joanna. Why not we see each other? Or maybe we'll see Rose bump up in a super fight against Valentina. Either way, I agree. Valentina, and not discredit Nico Montana. I mean, she's tough in that, and she could definitely. But if Valentina is able to become glorious and win that title, I think it's hers for quite some time, just based on her style.
Yeah, ruthless, man. She's a great fighter, and some interesting fights for her on the horizon.
Oh, definitely.
And you mentioned Rose and
Joanna.
I like
Joanna,
that.
Yeah, that's a good
that rematch.
It's a good. It makes sense. It makes sense.
She was so dominant.
It really
before losing the strap.
Yeah. I mean, she was like I said, they were looking at her moving up to 125, possibly. Or maybe she was going to retire. I mean, had a good streak, but the Rose, that's kind of gets something different, new, and I like that. I like that rematch, and it'll be interesting just to see the result and what happens to that division after that. You still have a great fight, Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Felice Herring. That's happening in April. That's an exciting matchup. I think that's possible a contender fight. Karolina has rebound. Felice is on a 3-4 fight win streak right now. So, I mean, those are potential contenders in that division, but. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But let's go on to the big card tomorrow night, UFC 221 in Australia for the interim middleweight title. Luke Rockhold will take on Yoel Romero, and of course, this was originally slated to be Rockhold taking on Robert Whittaker for the undisputed middleweight title. Of course, Robert Whittaker is still sidelined, injured, but man, this is a good replacement because Yoel Romero is so explosive.
Man, yeah, that's a scary dude. I will say that I do like Whittaker and Rockhold as a matchup a little bit more. But, nevertheless, Romero is terrifying and Rockhold is awesome. So it should be a sweet matchup. Should be very competitive. We spoke on this fight a little bit before the show, and we both agreed that Luke is maybe a little more technically savvy, but on the other hand, Romero does have an extremely intense wrestling game, so it's going to be an awesome matchup, man.
Oh, I definitely think so. I mean, first of all, Yoel Romero looks like an action figure, but I think Robert Whittaker had the blueprint last summer. Get Romero in the later rounds, get him fatigued, get him tired, because all that muscle, I mean, that's going to wear you down. It's good in that first 2 rounds of explosiveness, but you get it. And the thing about Luke Rockhold, first of all, Luke Rockhold is a huge 185er. He could easily be at 205. He's got that long range, very technical. He can weather a storm. We saw that against David Branch. He's very durable, but he will use his technique to prevail. He's great on the ground. He's a grappler first. Of course, he has that really intriguing question mark kick. It's not knocking you out, but it catches you off guard. He can hit you with a nasty body kick. He just has kicks. More tools and submissions. And I actually am predicting a late round stoppage for Luke Rockhold, maybe even a submission. I mean, yes, Yoel Romero is an Olympic wrestler, but Luke Rockhold has been in there with some of the top, Cain Velasquez, Daniel Cormier. Yes, Yoel Romero has beaten the likes of Kel Sanders, one of the greatest, definitely American freestyle wrestlers. But with that being said, it's mixed martial arts for a reason. It's all about tools, and that's what Luke Rockhold has. He just has way more ways to win. If he can avoid some of the takedowns, I think he was probably seeing that Robert Whittaker fight and okay, get him in the later rounds, get him tired, except I'm going to finish him. Whittaker was definitely hurt, that knee. blew back. And, not making any excuses why he couldn't finish the fight, but that's what Rockwell does. He finishes fights.
His top game on the ground
is nasty.
It's so nasty, and some of the best in MMA, in my opinion. And I think that, later, if he could get Romero down to the ground and tired later on, he's got a great chance of, either a TKO via strikes or a submission, I think.
I could see him actually pulling a rear naked choke. Possibly.
Yeah. You think that he'll give up his back like that? Maybe he's beating his ass so bad he could.
He very could, or I could see him. He's got a nasty guillotine choke. He's got a nasty Kimura, although it's going to be tough getting a Kimura on such a strong guy like that. Unless if it's later, but a guillotine, he could pull. I could see him easily getting strong guillotine later in the round. But either way, I just think Rockhold has so much more, and he's so smart. And he knows how to capitalize. I just think, and that reach is going to be a big thing, too.
Well, we might eat our words.
We could eat our words. Here's the thing. Yoel Romero, don't get me wrong, is very explosive, and it proved that against the Chris Weidman fight that at any moment he threw a knee.
His knee was like a damn axe to his head, bro. If he can catch Luke like that, he
can't he can't telegraph. Sometimes he telegraphs. He did that against Whitaker. You can't do that against Rockhold. Rockhold's going to see it a mile away. He's been in the sport for so long.
Former Strikeforce champion,
former Strikeforce champion,
UFC champ,
briefly. Champ. Yeah, he's seen it all though, and he knows what Romero's great at and that. So we'll see. But when you're in there with an Olympic level, it's hard to. There's levels in wrestling, but there's also. When it gets to the ground, there's levels on that, and I think Rockhold, his ground game is sick. So, he puts a lot of people away with strikes, but he was a grappler first, and we'll see. That's what's exciting about it. But that is the main event tomorrow night.
Yes.
Co-main event, Mark Hunt gets back in the cage. He takes on Curtis Blades. Curtis Blades is a one of those win-win fights for Curtis in the sense of this is one of his biggest fights ever. Of course, he fought Francis Ngannou earlier in both their UFC careers. But, this is Mark Hunt we're talking about, who does the walk-away, walk-off KOs.
Man, Mark Hunt is awesome, man.
I think he gets it done. Nothing against Curtis. I just think, you're going to Australia. There's a lot of pressure. And Mark knows he needs this win. Looked impressive against Derek Lewis.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, he's had some injuries. It didn't help, too, when he talked about concussions and that. UFC's big. But at the end of the day, he's literally one punch away, and I just think his striking is a little more high paralysis for Curtis Blades, and I think he's going to stop in the first round TKO.
Hell, that sounds good. Or, first or second, man. I definitely see that one ending early. Man, Mark Hunt, what a fucking warrior, dude.
He's a beast.
Awesome fights. I'm glad, of course, that he's on the card and the UFC's not keeping him sidelined anymore. He disclosed some concussion info on some sort of write-up, and they was he supposed to fight? He was lined up for some other fight.
He was supposed to fight Marci Tibera.
Okay,
and ended up being for Doom.
Right?
Yeah, well, they told him after the whole concussion, hey, we're not going to let you fight, and of course he was mad about that. But at the end of the day, they're kind of looking like, you've been into wars and stuff. But with that being said, this is good to come back, fight like this, and
if they're in Oceania. It's only fitting, if they're in New Zealand or Australia, anywhere over there in Oceania. If they're over there, it's very fitting to get Mark Hunt.
You got to have him. He's got a big crowd.
Huge draw.
Yeah, huge draw. This makes sense coming back. I think it's definitely, not that Curtis is going to be a walk in park. He's not. He's scrappy. But, Mark Hunt, this is perfect, I think, for this right now. And then we'll see who's next, for him. Heavyweight's very interesting right now.
I may have read that if either this fight or maybe one more that Mark Hunt, he's going to fight out his contract.
Yeah, he's probably going to fight out his contract,
Yeah.
and then we'll see if he goes elsewhere or retires. It just depends. It's tough because right now we're going to see Stipe DC, which is cool because we don't know about
that.
And I think the also reason probably we don't know about Kane. Kane's really the number one contender, but we don't know when he's coming back. It sounds like late this year. But who knows? And then you got now Verdum and Volkov. That's an interesting fight. Of course, the winner of that could easily face Kane, or maybe, or
maybe a rematch between Kane and Verdum if he wins.
Kane or Verdum.
I like it.
Or, July, and let's say if Kane comes back in December, that's enough time for the winner. Although, let's just say hypothetically, it could happen if DC wins. I don't know that. He may vacate that title because he'll have 2 titles. It's not like he's vacating the light heavyweight, but he may.
That'd be insane if he won the belt from Stipe full circle.
Yeah,
man.
Kane's like, he'll be interesting if he wins. Kane versus DC, I don't know. I think DC's so loyal in the sense to his friendships, which you got to admire that. I think he just wants to, this is a big challenge, and he wants to put more to his career. And I think also Alexander Gustafsson's recovering too. So I think this is kind of the fight to kind of make while everyone else is healing up. Plus, it makes for a good Ultimate Fighter series since they'll be the coaches.
Right.
They don't have any animosity, but, DC's funny, Stipe's funny.
I love that fight, man. The super fights that they're talking about this year and that they're trying to get lined up are a lot of fun, man. I think the champion versus champion stuff, it's fitting for this time. The UFC just got sold recently, for billions of dollars. They just had McGregor. Well, hell, it's been a while now since he's fought, but he's been a 2-division champion. Him and Alvarez fighting, that was a super fight, champ versus champ. That stuff is fun to me, and to see the best of the best go at it, you can't beat that shit.
No,
it's awesome.
Well, and it's definitely good, although you also have to have, from a purist standpoint, have your ranking fights. But
I agree.
The only thing is some of these divisions are held up due to injuries and stuff like that. You mentioned Conor. We still don't know what's happened to him. They still haven't marketed whether the Tony and Khabib is an interim lightweight.
Man,
it just says lightweight title.
Right. It says world lightweight title or something
on
the poster. Just move on. Keep Conor in the wings. If he wants to come back, let him come back. Fight for the belt. But, they got to move forward.
They got to move forward.
Khabib and Tony is a kick-ass fight,
It's been 2 years almost since.
It's ridiculous.
Connor's won the title. That's too long, and it's not like he's been hurt. So, move on, in general, and then let them fight. And then after that, then you can make a super fight big fight between Tony and Conor or Khabib and Conor. Either way, no one cares about the interim title. You create an interim title when the champion's hurt. Robert Whittaker makes sense because he's hurt, but you don't make it because the current champ just doesn't want to fight right now. Or there's not a big money fight. And I'm going to tell you this. There's no big money fight in that 155 division right now outside of Nate Diaz 3. Otherwise than that, you just got to fight to be the champion.
To be the champ and to defend and, to prove that you are the best and the most elite.
I'm going to make a point right here. Last night I watched Roy Jones' retirement fight on Fight Pass. It was his last fight. It was for some title. He didn't have to have a title. He's, of course, won it against, definitely not a big-name opponent. But the point is he wanted a chance at glory again, and now he gets to ride off in the sunset with another title to his name. He's already made the money. That's the thing. I think, with Conor and that, he's made the money. Is it just only money, or do you want to go down as the best ever? Because you can't go down as the best ever if you never fought the guys that could get you there.
Yeah, that could strip you of that.
Like in boxing, yes, there was a lot of money. And yes, but they've also fought the guys to get them there.
Real quick, if DC does indeed beat Stipe, is he one of the best heavyweights
I think
ever?
he's definitely heavyweight, one of the best, yes. There's always going to be a question mark, at 205 because of John Jones. But with that being said, he's still one of the best ever. He's definitely the best heavyweight. And the only reason why he may not have been in this mix earlier is because of Kane. Look at his heavyweight resume compared to 205 resume. Josh Barnett, Bigfoot Silva, Roy Nelson, Frank Mir, all heavyweight icons. Yes. And if he could add Stipe, who now is a record breaker at heavyweight,
current heavyweight,
he's the best heavyweight in my opinion. The only one he hadn't fought would be Randy Couture, and that would have been an interesting match.
It's hard to argue against DC not being the best, one of the best heavyweights.
Honestly, I think he's one of the best 205 outside of John Jones. And, there is question marks with John Jones. But, at the same time, John Jones just performance-wise is one of the best.
And DC put his fucking hands on Gustafsson, man.
Yeah, and that was a battle. But you need those battles to also make you great because you got to also show you can come for adversity. If it's all easy, even Ali had his battles. The Frazier fights. and that. So you got to show that you can come back even in a fight and win it. That's what makes you the greatest, in my opinion. Is rising up and doing that. And and I mean, we'll see what happens. It's an interesting time. Another thing, speaking of injuries, of course, unfortunately, we won't see Holloway and Edgar again. So it's going to be Frankie Edgar versus Brian Ortega. Obviously, a number one contender fight. Max Holloway's injured. New main event is going to be Cyborg. I can't pronounce the fighter's name. I know she's been in Invicta. I follow her on Instagram, but I know it's a last-minute fight. Title fight added. They wanted to save that
Scrambling
card.
to fill some slots in this card a little bit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the pay-per-view numbers. I am excited, though, about Frankie and Brian Ortega. It only makes sense. Here's the reason why I'm excited.
I'm excited, too.
On the ground, Brian Ortega is a beast on the ground. Obviously we know Frankie Edgar's attributes in that. But I was looking at this division, and it was like you have Ortega contender. You have now Darren Elkins a contender. And we're about to see Jeremy Stevens and Josh Emmett, who are about to fight. They're contenders. So it makes sense. Just get the contenders out of the way. Obviously, the winner of this needs that Holloway fight. And then I suggest Darren Elkins fight the winner of Jeremy Stevens and Josh Emmett. That can knock that out. And then there you go.
Those are all exciting matchups, man.
So,
I like all those fights.
I mean, Brian Ortega's quiet, doesn't say a lot, but he's dangerous. He showed that against Cub Swanson, the submission. I mean,
mean submission against Cub.
Submission, so he's very slick. And this is a good technical fight for Frankie Edgar, too. So it'll be interesting. Either way, I'm just glad it happened to just clear up those contender spots right there. So we'll see. We'll see. I know some people I see aren't too excited about this card, but
I think I might have heard Luke Rockhold mention this when I was watching some of the MMA beats. So I'm not trying to sound too repetitive, but I think he may have stated something along the lines of they should have.
Luke Thomas.
Yeah. What did I not say?
Luke Rockhold.
Did I say? Oh, excuse me.
No.
Yeah, Luke Thomas. Excuse me. He said that they should have made Frankie Edgar and Ortega. Headline a Fox card so that more eyes can get to it and, maybe shaking up the card in a different way. And I agree with that sentiment a little bit. Yeah, well, that is a great fight.
They did that with Johnny Hendricks, Stephen Thompson a couple of years ago. The main event was actually supposed to be Conor McGregor and Rafael dos Anjos. And it was and they dissolved that Super Bowl card into a fight night and moved Conor to Nate to March. So that makes sense. I mean, it's just they don't have enough time to promote now a new main event, in my opinion. And nothing against her opponent, Cyborg's opponent, but a lot of people don't know enough about it to be like, oh wow, like Nunez would have been a great matchup, but it's too soon.
Yeah. Man, Cyborg's mean. That's a mean woman right there. She's probably I don't know her opponent too well either. I would assume that she's probably going to mop the floor with her, but you don't know for sure.
Anything can happen. I know somebody pointed out that she had lost to Tanya Evinger, and of course Cyborg beat Tanya Evinger to win the title, but you never know. I mean, I think
that's MMA math they call it. Right?
Yeah, the MMA. But here's the thing: the legit contender is not the legit contender, but the contender that makes sense is Megan Anderson. She is a tough 145. She was just was the Invicta 145 champion. She's been supposed to fight for quite some time Cyborg. She was supposed to fight Cyborg last summer for that that newly crowned 140 or not vacant world title. But it looks like she's still sidelined, and of course people are calling for the Nunez Cyborg super fight, which I like that idea, but it's too soon. It's too soon for March, so maybe we'll see that next fall. But yeah, I think the UFC was just scrambled. They wanted to keep the pay-per-view and that. So,
well, real quick, do you want to touch on UFC Austin?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So next Friday we should be covering LFA 33. So we won't be having a show, but we want to mention, UFC Austin Fight Night. That's another stacked card. Of course, we've had Stephen Ocho Peterson on the show, who is making his long-awaited UFC debut on that card. Also, his teammate Jeff Neal, who is on Dana White's Contender Series, is going to be on that card as well. And that main event, Cowboy Cerrone versus Yancy Medeiros. Oh,
Sweet fight.
Talk about a fight of the night potential. Both guys will stand and bang. Yancey's a very tall, lanky striker. He's coming off a fight of the year type performance against Alex Oliveira. That was a good fight. And then you have Cowboy, who's definitely needs a win. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, so he's going to come in here. Is it at 170? Yeah. Okay, so it is 170. So it didn't drop down. So, but yeah, I mean, Cowboy needs a win. I mean, really needs a win. And usually when Cowboy's kind of a back against the wall, he finds a way. So it should be interesting. If I had to make a prediction, I am going Cowboy, maybe submission. I could see a TKO or submission. I mean, we haven't seen that in a while. Submission. I mean,
maybe try and get it to the ground.
Maybe
head kick this guy, Yancey, and maybe try and guillotine him.
He could, or he could get a rear naked choke.
Rear naked?
So
yeah.
we'll see. I mean, he's got to do something. It is desperate on that as well. And what's the co-main event?
It's Derek Lewis
yes,
and
that's
Marcin
right.
Tybura.
Yeah.
Dude, this card is
it's stacked.
fucking stacked.
Yeah,
and
it is great.
Way better than the pay-per-view tomorrow night.
I think
in
so
my
too.
opinion.
Derek Lewis is, he's had his back troubles. He's coming back. Marcin Tybura is coming off of that decision loss against Verdum, which, no one's going to fault him for that. I mean, Verdum. There's Verdum and almost everybody else, so it'll be interesting. Both these guys do need this win. Derek Lewis obviously hits hard. Tybura does too. He's a quiet guy. He kind of smirks a little bit when he's in quarter, but man, he's got some hands. He showed that against Andrei Arlovsky before.
Right.
He stopped Andrei Arlovsky. He's a guy that you got to watch out for. And Derek Lewis definitely can't take lightly, which I don't think he will. I think this fight won't go past 2 rounds.
I hope not. Man, and
I don't know who to pick in this, but I mean, it's not going to go far. I could say that it's not going 3 rounds.
I'm going to go Derek Lewis. Yeah.
Well,
it's
a
Houston
good
connection, and because I love the dude's personality.
Well, he very well could.
Hilarious.
He's very athletic. Athletic. He's got a good gas tank. And he can't make it a short night. So. I heard him hit pads live. It's loud.
And they also got James Vick and Francisco Trinaldo.
I like
on the
that
card.
fight.
That's an awesome fight. Thiago Alves, Curtis Millender.
I like the James Vick fight. Here's the thing about James Vick, and he's talked a lot. He's been on MMA Hour and that. He's very vocal that a lot of fighters are ducking him. And of course, we saw him back in May. I mean, he's only got one official loss in the UFC.
That's right.
But other than that, it's all been stoppages. An impressive performance. 12-1. Knocked out Joe Duffy back in November. I mean, this guy, he's a legitimate contender in that division. And, I think he should be fighting the Dustin Poiriers or Justin Gaethjes right now. He's had a long time. I mean, he's been with the company for quite some time. Dominant. He just can't get anyone to step up and fight him, and
well, man, if he can put on a show,
if he wins this way, they'll have to do something. I mean, you can't
deny him.
Well, and I think too, it could look at it's one of those high risk fights, taking on a fight like him. But here's the thing: you got to have him move up, and maybe a Kevin Lee fight could make sense. Maybe Eddie Alvarez. I know Eddie's a little bit in the top 5, but still.
Right.
I mean, what better way? You could jump a lot faster if you could get Eddie. I know Eddie's wanting the Nate Diaz, but that doesn't look like that's happening. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
who knows?
But I mean, Eddie's willing to fight, and maybe that's the fight for James Vick. It would be a big name draw, but you got to do what you got to do to rise up, because there's nobody else for him to fight outside of the top
going
10.
Straight to the top. And just a few more names real quick. Sage Northcutt's on the card.
Yep.
They got Diego Fiera and Jared Gordon, Brian Camozzi, and as you mentioned, Jeff Neal. Josh Berkman got added recently.
Yeah, Josh Berkman. He's been in the sport for a long time. Yeah, it's a good card. It's a great fight night. It's going to be on FS1. So,
and you mentioned Stephen Ocho Peterson, of course. Breaking news more recently within the past day or two, I believe.
About a day. Yeah, his opponent had visa issues, so now he's taking on Brandon Davis.
That's right.
So that will be on the Fight Pass, UFC Fight Pass.
Yes.
So for all you Dallas residents, MMA fans, tune into Fight Pass to catch Ocho, and then tune on to FS1 to watch Jeff Neal, both train out of Fortis MMA, right down the street here in Deep Ellum. So check that out. But it's a stacked card. It's a stacked card.
I love the card. I wish we could be down there to see all these fights in person, but
we'll be yelling at the.
Shake your mic just a little bit.
Here we go. But yeah, it's a stacked night. I mean, every weekend has something MMA. So that's what's great. So and Bellator March 2nd.
Yes. Hopefully we will one of us will be there to cover the event.
Darren Caldwell and Leandro Hidgo.
Yeah, but I think
Hidgo.
next weekend, in addition to LFA and UFC, they do have a Bellator card as well. Roy Nelson and Mitrione are going at it.
Yeah, next Friday night. Also, Derek Campos versus Patricky Pitbull 2 finally.
Yeah,
most likely, that looks like it could be a title eliminator, as they just announced. Michael Chandler will get another chance at Brent Primus in April, so this kind of sets up well. And yes, another part of the heavyweight Grand Prix tournament, Matt Mitrione, Roy Nelson, which that's a rematch. That's exciting because I think Matt Mitrione has come a long way since their last fight. So, exciting time for MMA as always, and we're going to wrap things up here.
Very exciting.
So we are glad to be back. Like I said, we won't be back next Friday. Tune in 2 weeks on the 23rd. We will be back. And so for more MMA, and just check out MMA On Air on Twitter. Check out the MMA On Air Facebook. Go to the YouTube channel as well, MMA On Air. And also check out, once again, we want to thank FightFitLifestyle.com. Go to FightFitLifestyle.com. And thank you, Jalil Willis, for calling in earlier.
Yeah, awesome guy, man. Good luck to everybody next week fighting LFA, Bellator, UFC. Stacked weekend. We're looking forward to all of it, man.
And finally, I just want to say, support your local MMA scene, whether it's here in Texas, anywhere if you're listening, support your local MMA scene. So many great talent out there. Go check them out.